Alright, today we are going to react to the new Shoe on Head video, but before that I just want to point out that I have done a reaction, only one so far, to a previous Shoe on Head video titled The Sickness Unto Death Drive is a Gnostic Infection, which was the reaction to the video These People Are Sick by Shoe on Head. That was, as you can tell, her response to the whole assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I stand by everything I said in this particular video about, the Gnostic roots of leftist thought. There's Gnostic roots in a lot of right-leaning thought as well, and I oppose Gnosticism in any variety that it shows up in. So, just that. And you can tell how old this video is because I have the actual Cantonese on my dress instead of the the symbol I used, in the current version, which are the series of symbols that I invented. So, the whole cult of Crybullies seems to be, from the title, right up my alley. So, again, let's get into this. I'm probably going to be, again, speaking, as I often do, from a Vogelinian perspective. So there should be some degree of overlap between this video and the last one, but presumably, since we're not talking about the death cult part, there should be some decent variation and commentary with this. So I haven't actually watched this yet, so this is a first-time reaction plus commentary.
To another episode of What the Hell is Going On with your host, Ugly Belle Delphine. Now, before you ask, yes, there is an Epstein file.
We're going to be perfectly honest. I genuinely do not know what Belle Delphine looks like. I've heard the name before, but I have no fucking clue what she looks like.
Files video coming out. I feel like everyone has like streamer brain nowadays, and like every fucking video has to be breaking news in order to get the most views. But I am taking my time with it. I'm sure you understand there is a lot happening.
I mean, that's entirely fair. I have on a couple occasions just like, well, I got to get this out, and then decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna wait on this for a bit, and that's what happened with the issue. That's what happened with the video where I talked about Antifa in France killing a man by beating him to death in the street. Where it's like, I actually did see it come out. I didn't see the video come out that day. I didn't see the video. I saw that the video came out from Count Dankula on the day it came out. I didn't watch it. And then by the time I actually was able to make a video on it, Leaflet had already beaten me to the punch. So I was like, all right, I'll react to both of them at the same time. But yeah, it has been a wild month.
With this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Is Jewish. I
want to be clear.
Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust.
Your country, sir. Anyway.
She got fucking baited, to be perfectly honest. Holy shit. I don't understand why Pam Bondi still has a job. I'm not gonna lie. Is this really the best we can actually do in the United States? Really? Why are you asking me about the Moloch worshipping pedophiles who run our country and much of the world, it seems? The Tao is up, the magic number is up. Do you not understand that this is the purpose of child sacrifice? You give us the children to sacrifice, and then the magic number goes up, whether it be the rain number or the Tao number. There's a lot you can say about this. Oh man, I should have done a react to the Mentis Wave video too on the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Maybe I'll do that later. But let's continue with this, I guess.
Wait, let's just forget about these satanic billionaire pedophiles running the world, and let's talk about some
Okay, I mean, what other response was there going to be, right?
Internet drama, shall we? Because that is what's really important. For a little over a decade now, the most inane things can get you cold.
My issue with the Epstein stuff right now is there's so much content that has been released in the actual Epstein file, like the Epstein drops. A lot of it is obviously inane bullshit that doesn't mean anything, and then a lot of it is and a portion of it is actually important, but it's like a thing I pointed out beforehand. It's like obviously some of these people are very involved in the crimes taking place, but if you just take a step back and think of it, like if you were going to run an illegal operation like this, right? How is it that you would cover your clients if you were going to protect your clients? Well, you would mix in the people who are involved with illegal activity and the people who are involved in not illegal activity together. It's literally the joke from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Where it's like, it's all literally. Hold on, I might as well just play the joke again, because again, not everyone in those damn files is actually guilty. And in fact, some of them are very clearly innocent. Like, in the files, we find out that Donald Trump is very, very likely the whistleblower that was alluded to, who actually blew the whistle on Jeffrey Epstein. And Epstein very clearly, in the files that are presented, does not fucking like the guy. So the two don't like each other, but just because Donald Trump's name is in the fucking files, he's somehow, like, guilty of the crimes. I'm just like, nah. Actually reading the files, it seems to indicate exactly the opposite. So there's a lot of political motivation going on with like, oh, who's guilty, who's not guilty, when it's like, this should have been investigated a long time ago. We had ample opportunity across Republican and Democratic governments to actually get this shit out, and then everyone just dragged their fucking heels in it. And it's like, yeah, you know what, if the system as it exists collapses because of if this gets investigated, maybe it's a system that doesn't deserve to exist in the way it is. That's just my opinion. But anyway, this joke actually is quite insightful, even though it came from Always Sunny.
You guys be helping with my thing.
Even though it came from a sitcom.
We got to shred a bunch of documents.
What? What are you talking about, man?
Well, the thing of it is, may or may not have been the official beverage supplier of Jeffrey Epstein.
What?
Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah, but before you judge me, know this. Yes, I was on the sex island, but only for the snorkeling. I didn't know anything about the kid stuff. No, look, 95% of what went on down there was not pedophilia.
Oh, yeah?
No, the other 5%, that sullied the whole operation.
Yeah, it sure did,
sure
Frank.
did.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it ain't just me. You guys' names are on those documents too, remember?
What? Still?
God damn it!
Son of a
Frank,
bitch.
No, I don't have time for this.
Well, come on and be quick. It's only a couple of boxes.
Ah, shit. God damn it.
Yeah, so now given what we know about the Donald Trump seeming to be the whistleblower who blew the lid off this entire case, you know, a lot of people will have a difficult time understanding why he didn't want to release the files. To be perfectly honest, I think it's not that hard to figure out, but I just disagree with the reasoning. I would suspect the reason he didn't want to release the files is the concern that anyone whose name appears in the files, whether or not they're innocent or guilty, in his case, again, it looks like he's actually innocent of any wrongdoing, but people are still going to call him a rapist and a pedophile because they won't read the fucking documents. They're just going to listen here. Oh, his name was in the documents, so therefore he must be guilty. He probably already understood that anyone in there could have their reputation ruined, even if they were innocent. I don't agree with that line of reasoning for not releasing the documents, especially in accords with the Epstein Files Act, which was blatantly violated, by the way. But I do think that is probably the reasoning. You can understand what a person's thinking without agreeing with them, and I find that a lot of people do not take the time to at least try to understand where someone else is coming from, and a good example is, again, Donald Trump dragging his feet about the Epstein case. Again, I don't think it's hard to understand. I just think I just personally disagree with the reasoning. Anyway, let's go back to this.
A racist or a Nazi on the internet, to the point where these words hold little to no meaning anymore. It's so bad that when someone is called a racist or a Nazi online, I'm immediately like, oh, what funny joke did they tell? But ladies and
this happens with a number of terms that the left throws around. This is also the problem with trying to equate lolicon with pedophile. Is you have a lot of it degrades the actual meaning of the term, the crime actually being accused, because then like, oh yeah, this person's PDF file, and a lot of people immediately stop nowadays, and it's like, wait, so do you mean he actually they're actually attracted to and hurt children, or are you talking about cartoons? And the fact that that question even has to be asked is nightmarish in itself, because it's basically to one of the worst things you can think of. The same thing is happening as what's going on with, again, these terms: racist, Nazi, fascist. Like these terms are losing meaning. And to be perfectly honest, I do think that the thing with intentionally conflating, intentionally devaluing the term pedophile by getting it associated with ambiguity, to where you have to step back and think, wait a minute, do you mean like really, or are you just being, again, are you just trying to destroy someone's reputation over cartoons? I think that's on purpose. If you've read queer theoretic literature, there is a push within within the queer theoretic movement to destigmatize pedophilia, not as a paraphilia, which is what it is. It's a disgusting paraphilia, but to be more of a quote unquote sexual orientation. And as monstrous as that is, there is an actual underlying logic behind the critical studies movements, which often involve the inversion of, which often involve, first of all, setting up some kind of class conflict. You see this in basically any field that labels itself critical. For example, critical criminal studies, where you create this class conflict, and then you pick a oppressor and then an oppressed class, and then you proceed with a Marxian analysis from there. So, for example, the oppressed class in critical criminal studies is the criminal class. So, if you ever wonder why there's this sort of compassion towards even like flagrantly proud criminals who have no remorse for what they're doing, which you sometimes see, nowadays. That's where that comes from. It's just a Marxian, the application of Marxian logic to criminal studies. And again, this happens everywhere. So if you want to apply this again to this particular field, that's exactly what you would get. So there is an actual underlying logical reason for this to happen, but that actually exposes the bankruptcy of this class conflict theory in the first place. Is that this dialectical program does not actually have any kind of stopping mechanism. It will always proceed just like it proceeded from Hegel to Marx and the fascists and the Nazis. It continued on beyond where the dialectic was supposed to stop, and then it just kept going on. When the Nazis and the fascists were defeated, Marxism became the main dialectical movement, and it continued on from there. So that you got intersectionality as a natural progression from Marxism, specifically the ruthless criticism of all that exists doctrine. You had and then the people who disagreed with the primary Marxian narrative, they just split off and they became another dialectical movement, the third positionists. And they themselves will dialectically evolve, because no matter whether they like it or not, the dialectic as an engine does not have a stopping mechanism. In order to get it to stop, you have to arbitrarily put in a stopping mechanism, which will be removed, whether you like it or not, by future dialecticians. That's not really a discussion point. That is what is going to happen, because someone is going to notice, again, that this is an arbitrary imposition to stop the dialectic, and since the dialectic is something that has to be resolved over time for these dialectical worldviews, it will be resolved over time to more and more horrifying conclusions. So anyway.
Gentlemen, we have officially come to the point where not saying anything also makes you a racist Nazi. For the few of you watching this channel,
yeah, the whole silence is violence thing.
Who are employed, there's a very
oh, that's so okay. That is kind of funny, because I recently got off a period of unemployment. I actually really do like my new job, but yeah, fair enough, right?
very popular Twitch streamer named Emiru. She's a cosplayer and just kind of a fun, chill, normie video game streamer. Well, the other day, someone in her chat asked her opinion about ice, and this is what she had to say.
Like, there's a certain extent where I'm like, okay, sure, I get people wanting big content creators to, like, say their opinions on, like, important topics. I get that, right? But it's like, if you need a streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics, you probably just need to get off the internet.
In a world
He is correct about that.
where it seems like every single celebrity is just screaming their political takes completely unprompted, this was a refreshing thing to hear. Seems like a pretty sane, rational, inoffensive thing to say, right? Wrong. This short little clip where she ironically tried to avoid controversy ended up being one of the most controversial dramas this year. I feel like decades worth of news has happened in the past like 2 months, don't you? Every day there's like a breaking story of the most insane shit you've ever heard in your life, and everyone is expected to have a fully formed opinion on every single breaking story. There's pressure.
I mean, yeah, it does kind of resemble a Maoist, struggle session where you have to be beaten into submission. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to harass and harangue you until you say the right thing and you admit your guilt to the crime that is being alleged, even if the crime isn't actually true. The mere perception of wrong is itself wrong because perception is reality. Reality doesn't precede perception. Perception is reality. So
to react.
That's actually my main issue with the whole perception is reality thing. It's like, really, you want to go down there? That has a lot of unsettling implications, whether you want it to or not. And that's why I talk about these like unspoken implications in worldviews, because oftentimes these worldviews that end up going off the rails, those were foreseeable. They had unsettling implications at the get-go, just no one actually dove in to examine where these things would lead second and third, fourth order down the line.
To pick a side, to condemn, to defend. But the reality is, when a story first breaks, we're usually not seeing the full picture. And that's why for years now, I have been using today's sponsor, Ground News. So let's quickly give them a shout out before we jump into today's video, shall we? Ground News is a website and an app.
Yeah, so again, I actually talked a little bit about some of the ICE topic beforehand. Hold on. Again, another plug for a previous video if you haven't seen it. This was, I'm a little bit disappointed in the commentary I gave there because there wasn't a lot for me to add, but at least for the terms of the 2 videos in there. But in terms of like the news itself, I'm comfortable with the criticism I gave, or not criticism, with the input I gave. That's this one right here. When I was talking about the Renee Good shooting, I was like, and just like that, everyone stopped talking about Somali fraud in Minnesota. I talk about a lot in here, and including the whole "don't think, feel" bit, which I saw to be a intrinsically anti-human approach to this entire thing. Because the thing that separates man from the rest of the animals is that man is a uniquely rational animal. Doesn't mean everything we do is rational. That just means that we have a unique capacity for reason that distinguishes man from beast. And I guess I'll let that, and that means not everything we do is reactive, because animals are largely, they can think in higher order, terms than what the scholastics initially thought. Like, we know that now, but their cognition is obviously not like ours. Still, and just take a listen to what this woman said. Hold on, let me get to the frame by frame so that we can actually hear what she has to say. Sorry about this. Okay, well, that was my fault. I should have actually pressed unmute. Okay. Wait. Why is there no audio there?
The fact
There we
that a U.S. citizen was murdered by ICE.
The way I feel is I watched the video on multiple different angles.
That is not a feeling.
So, okay, there is a contradiction here. He's trying to speak to her on her terms, not about thinking, but about feeling. And so she is technically correct that that's not a feeling, but continue.
How do you feel? Feel it here, in your heart.
Okay. And like I was saying,
your immigrant mother.
Right.
Feel it in your heart.
I do.
Okay,
and at the end of the
so
day,
don't tell me what you saw or what you watched.
If someone tried to run me over, I would have done the same thing. I would have done the same thing.
Not
that's
a feeling.
how I feel. I feel perfectly fine.
That's not a feeling.
I feel fine. We're so used to being antagonistic.
The primary, this is pure emotionalism, where your emotions are primary, not your reason. Again, don't tell me what you saw. Don't tell me what you... don't refer to the other sense perceptions that are the basis of your reason. Tell me what you felt. So it all goes back to, again, being controlled by your passions and not your reason.
Recognize that it's just.
So, leaving beside the racialist implication that he has to have an immigrant mother, that he can't at all be Aboriginal to the the states. Notice how again this whole thing is about control. And let's be fair, the only reason that he's getting this kind of conversation in the first place is because of the racialized politics that the woman on the other side of this conversation actually has, and also the fact that he points out her behavior changed as soon as the camera came out. But that being said, when he was articulating how he felt, which was filtered obviously through his reason, she tells him flat out, that's not a feeling. How did you feel? So that gives you a lot of context on how exactly a lot of these people are coming about this. And I'll give a little bit of comment on it. And again, this is the cult of toxic empathy. There's a reason the Greeks gave a negative connotation to the word empatheia, but a positive connotation to the word sympatheia. And in fact, sympathy has been maliciously maligned by bad actors in favor of empathy, and empathy is a lesser good than sympathy. I'm going to be perfectly honest. If a doctor is operating on me, I don't give a shit if he has sympathy for me. I don't give a shit if he has empathy for me. I want him to have sympathy for me. I want him to fucking reach down and pull me out of this shit, whether or not he feels what I feel or not. Whether or not he can feel what I'm feeling in a moment, completely fucking irrelevant. But
It's one of those things where you don't really entertain it. I'm having a conversation with you because we've been real respectful. That's all it is.
That's how I was trying.
But every single time I see those cameras pop up, our conversation changes ever so slightly. So, our conversations, a little bit. They get a little bit more.
No, so I was upset because you were telling me what I know.
Okay, I see what you're saying. That's fair.
Yes.
That's fair. That's human.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it is.
If I escalated, I apologize.
It's fine.
You guys were best friends before the camera came over here. Don't lie. I seen it.
I mean, we were having a really good conversation.
We were having a really good conversation. The camera's a little dangerous, all right?
This one has empathy. Like, look at his eyes.
I appreciate it.
I feel
Thank
like
you. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, we all have different experiences as agents. I personally have arrested some pretty terrible people, and I have arrested people that are just here, and their only crime is immigration. And it is what it is.
How?
I gotta point out that, like, in this entire interaction, the person on the other end never is fully humanized in this entire conversation by her. You have to pay attention to what she says and how she says it, because the tone of the voice carries as much information as the semantic content. She says, this one has empathy. Not only does this mark him out as an exception, she still keeps that distance, not by saying he has empathy or or anything like that. There's that bridge between the person and the person they're talking to. This one, it's again still depersonalizing. But that's a stupid title right there. But anyway, yeah, this one has empathy is a fairly disturbing line in context. But this is the part I wanted to highlight. Don't think, feel. This is the most important part of that entire conversation. This is an anti-human appeal to animality. Don't use your reason as human beings, but rather allow yourself to be piloted by and possessed by passions and emotions. Your reason and abstraction is your distinctively human power. He's asking him to commit treason against himself in his very nature. And yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Again, he's a human being. He is supposed to use his reason and abstraction capacities in order to help him not just navigate the world and understand the world, but actually forge his own destiny. And he's asking him to put those things aside and let himself be ruled by fleeting temporary emotions. That is an intrinsically anti-human outlook on being, to be perfectly honest. Because it removes you from time as a reality to time as just the ever-present. Okay. So let's move on here. Okay, so that That's the only part I want to highlight in that particular story. Back to the video we are here for.
That lets you see how news stories are being covered all across the political spectrum, from left, right, and center. Every story comes with a quick visual breakdown of political bias, ownership, and headlines that helps you understand the full story and really make sure you're getting both sides. They really make it fun and easy to compare headlines to see how political bias and media ownership can affect the framing of a story. For example, let's take a look at this one about how RFK admits he used to snort cocaine off toilet seats. If you look it up on Ground News, a right-wing headline covers it like this: RFK revealed why he wasn't scared of COVID. It was a legendary answer. And a left-wing outlet covers the same story like this: Robert F. Kennedy Jr. doesn't fear germs, and his reason is really, really gross. Same story, completely different vibes. The Ground News feature I like the most is the blind spot tool. It shows you how news stories have been covered by only one side of the political spectrum and ignored by the other. For example, here's a story about how Hillary Clinton says migration has gone too far. Rare Hillary Clinton W. Suspicious.
I mean, she's also been caught on camera basically saying the Great Replacement is, not happening, but if it was happening, it's good. So it's like, I don't know. I got warning bells from this woman.
7 sources covered it. 91% of those sources were right-wing, and only 4% were left-wing. Interesting. Or this one about how middle-class Americans are selling plasma because of financial pressure. Americans are selling their blood because they're so poor. 71% of the sources that covered this were left-wing, and only 14% were right-wing. I have been using Ground News for like 5 years now, and I am obsessed. It is one of the first apps I open when I wake up in the morning. It really helps me stay informed and helps me keep up with the news for my videos. But don't just take my word for it. Even the Nobel Peace Center recognized Ground News as an excellent way to stay informed, avoid echo chambers, and expand your worldview. Best of all, I am currently offering 40% off their Vantage plan, which is the plan I use to access all their amazing features. This comes to only like $5 a month, which is like the price of a cup of coffee nowadays. To get the 40% discount, just go to ground.news/shoe or use the QR code on screen right here, or click the link in the video description down below to subscribe to their Vantage plan today. Big thanks to Ground News for sponsoring this video, and thank you, the viewer, for not skipping the ad as always. Right. And now let's get back to the video. In this video, we are going to talk about the drama surrounding Emiru, the
Yeah, I'm not gonna really comment through the commercial because I don't really have anything to say about the commercial, right? It's just a commercial, so.
people trying to cancel her. The mistake the left is making by embracing cancel culture again. We're gonna read some insane, hilarious tweets, of course, and then we will talk about my personal experience with these people. And what do I mean by these people? I mean the cult.
What do you mean, you people? Oh my god.
of the Crybullies. I'm sorry if I sound even more like a
This is literally the meme of the leftist cries out as he strikes you.
prepubescent boy in this video. I am a little bit sick, but I am here, slaving over a hot laptop. For you. If you guys saw my last video, you know I am quite critical of ICE. I don't think we should abolish them, of course, but I think it is good and healthy to criticize your government. I am a political culture war commentator. I talk about political topics often. People come to me to hear my political opinions. But not everybody wants.
Okay, that was funny. And yet there are obviously criticisms you can levy against ICE in good faith, obviously, right? Like, for example, maybe the training time that people are getting is insufficient. So, yes, while we are currently while we're currently already struggling with capacity, maybe there still needs to be some kind of slowdown with the training period. That way we can better catch, new recruits up to speed. That would be a potentially, good faith criticism. Now, the counterpoint to that is the issue of, the illegal immigration issue is such an extreme thing that we kind of need boots on the ground right now because there's just so many fucking, people that need to be addressed. But again, this is where the push and pull of pragmatic criticism is actually, kind of useful. But, there are legitimate criticisms you could have of the organization, even if I think that we kind of need an enforcement organization for immigration, especially now with the severe amount of illegal immigration we've had.
Wants to be a political YouTuber or streamer. And not everybody wants to listen to a political YouTuber or streamer. Sometimes we just want to have fun and talk about other things. There are lots of other things to talk about. Sometimes we want to look at funny memes or watch funny videos without having politics shoved down our throat. So a lot of
Yeah, it's again the thing I said, which is the reason that everything has to become political is, first of all, it goes back to the classical fascist imposition of everything within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. Again, the Mussolini quote, which is important because there's an actual point behind it. So the classical fascists were statolatrists. I've said that this is, again, probably like the fourth time I've explained this. They believed that God so they believed in God. They believed that God was the collective, or is, not was, the collective of all human cognition. So that's why that's why it was a truly totalitarian system, is because because the reality itself is a collective construction of the human mind. So if all human minds can be brought into alignment with each other, then we can literally remake the world and ourselves in a more enlightened image. Is this going to work? Fuck no, it's not going to work. But that's what they actually believe. The actual metaphysical foundation of fascism is actual idealism. Now, if you look at queer theory, the whole thing where it's again, you don't recognize someone's pronouns, you're quote unquote erasing my existence. If anyone remembers that line from a while ago, that is again rooted in the same intersubjective, ontology that classical fascism is rooted in. So yeah, some of these people, again, the reason why they are so totalitarian is because some of these people legitimately have it's not really postmodern, to be perfectly honest. It's actually well, I guess it depends on which one, what you think is worse and which one you think is better. But it is distinct from postmodern, ontology. Whereas, so that is one of the main impetuses behind the whole, again, totalitarian thing, is everyone has to agree, because in order for the eschatological project, the end state of history, to be achieved, in order for utopia to be achieved, everyone has to be genuinely on the same page. And so the way that they do this is they try to browbeat people who disbelieve and demoralize them in order to, again, create a new generation of believers who will who will, follow, after us. Is that going to work? No, it didn't work in the Muslim world, where again we're seeing a mass a secret apostasy. It doesn't seem to work very well with state religions for a number of reasons, but because that's exactly what this is basically. What this basically is. It is a parasitic religion pretending to be a secular, philosophy. Oh yeah, the everything political thing. So the other thing is that, again, it goes back to the ruthless criticism of all that exists. Now you apply that to Gramsci's observation that it's not just economic production, but cultural production is itself a means of economic production, because Gramsci was a Marxist. So if you are seizing the means of production, and cultural production is a method of production, of producing capital, then you have to control cultural production as well. And in order to do that, you have to seize, again, the means, and the means of culture is things like stories, games, what would you say, education. So there's the subversion of academia right there. There's the subversion of your entertainment industries right there. You apply this again, the ruthless criticism of all that exists. Where did the managerial class come from? Oh, managerialism itself is a offshoot of Marxism. If you apply Marxism to a corporate culture, boom, you get managerialism. A lot of this is just explained by taking the Marxist logic and applying it to different fields, and you get what the logical outcome is what we end up seeing in a lot of these spheres. And they're not going to stop because, again, their ideological project is, I will say it again, because I need to beat this home to people, the ruthless criticism of all that exists. So, yeah, again, everyone has to be on the same page, and they will not stop because, again, anything that deviates from the creation of Rocco's Basilisk, which is the socialist man at the end of history that looks back at, onto history and judges all that comes before him like some kind of divine judge, uh, you know, all of that, it serves against the engine for which history exists. Because, again, a Marxist, like the Hegelian, because the Marxist is a left Hegelian, believes that history uses and discards people. That's why they're so that's why they're so happy to throw people away. Once history is no longer using you, you have no function, so you are to be discarded.
People thought it was really refreshing when a cosplay streamer was basically like, I don't want to talk about politics. Why are you coming to me for politics? It was a perfectly sane, rational opinion, so of course half the internet had a problem with it. It's just not that hard to say f ICE. It's really not that hard to say f ICE, to be honest. Is it so hard to just say f ICE? It's really not hard to say f ICE. Jesus Christ, how hard is it to just say f ICE? How hard is it to just say f ICE? How hard is it to just say f ICE and move on? Oh my god. Just say f ICE. It's not hard. Is it so hard to just say the line? Say the line! Say it! Jesus Christ, at this point, even if Emiru did want to
Yeah, again, the whole Maoist struggle section, it's like, it silences violence. It's that whole, oh my god, it's literally, that's so funny actually now that I'm thinking about it. It's that literally that whole Quranic principle of silence is consent. If you don't speak out against it, then you're consenting to it. That's actually, I just made that connection right now. But yeah, that's basically what's going on here. It can't possibly be that you're apolitical because it turns out, again, everything is political. It goes back to that thing I was just talking about. Everything is a tool, an instrument for the progression of the dialectic. And if you refuse to be a tool, an engine, a tool to the dialectical engine, then you are frustrating the historical process. Funny enough, I think the retards like Vosh actually explained it one time, where it was the idea of what'd you say? History is like the Overton window is a train that's going ever to the left, right? So, in order to anyway, from what I remember, there was Vosh had this really stupid analogy of like a train moving down the track. So there's a forward and a backwards, right? And that in order to maintain your position on the track as the Overton window is moving, you have to actively move against the movement of the train, which from a dialectical perspective is exactly what has to be done. So if you want to keep the Overton window, again, where it's at, you have to not only bring the train to a stop, you have to reverse the train, which, means that you are directly opposing progress, even if you just want things to stay where they are. So, that's why they call you a reactionary, by the way.
Abolish ICE. Even if she really did think, f ICE, she shouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it at this point, because this is just this is creepy. This is like a horde of zombies chasing after you. Hey, it's actually super easy to stream and have opinions. I'll show you. F ICE, f Donald Trump and everyone in his administration, f Elon Musk, free Palestine, US is on stolen land built by stolen people, Luigi did nothing wrong, abortion is healthcare, leave trans people the f alone.
I mean, this just sounds like the account of the most insufferable person. I don't to be perfectly honest. Again, this is totalitarianism. It's not even it's worse than authoritarianism. Again, as I've explained before, the difference between libertarianism and authoritarianism is the issue of where the locus of authority to make decisions lies. And totalitarianism is basically all locus of authority to make decisions is extrinsic to the individual. There is no individual autonomy. Everything has to be subjected to the collective control and the collective override. And you're seeing exactly what this, looks like here. Yeah. I've also said that we need raw entertainment that's apolitical, because when people are like done with a hard day's work. Obviously, you want to go home and you want to spend time with the family and you want to just grill. And it's fine to want to be able to just grill. Although, if you're a spineless do nothing, like many of the Republicans currently in office, who then actively go on to vote with the Democrats, you are worse than Then it gives the spineless do nothings bad rap, because it actually makes it look like the spineless do nothings might actually be in league with the the Democrats. But then again, a lot of right wing American politics is also right Hegelian, so it's the same. It's subject to the same flaws and errors as left Hegelianism. It just happens to think, oh, we actually have achieved the dialectic, so we can put a stop to the engine, which is exactly what caused the right Hegelians to lose the actual debate, and it's exactly what's going to cause the American right Hegelian to lose the debate, because there is no good argument for the dialectic is finished. All contradictions have been resolved, so we stop here. No, all contradictions have not been resolved. You will not stop here, and you will lose that fight. Reject Hegelianism and the dialectic completely outright. Edosen asks, "Who is Luigi and what did he do?" He's the guy who murdered a health insurance CEO a while back. There were a lot of disgusting takes about the Luigi Mangione thing when it happened. A lot of people celebrating that it happened, and it was like, I don't think you want to be supporting this, Chief. And a lot of those people who supported it did actually change their mind when Trump almost got assassinated. One person that comes to mind is a VTuber named Midas, whereas some of our older videos, she seems to be quite supportive of the Luigi Mangione assassination. And then it escalated from there, and she later came to the conclusion, I was wrong. This was not the thing to do, and I didn't realize that, again, there were second and third order consequences to this kind of thing. And you know what? I'll take someone recognizing their mistakes, to be perfectly honest. No, it was a really stupid mistake, but I'll take it. The whole purpose of the apolitical entertainment thing is, again, the ability to unwind and decompress. You want to be able to play games without being political. You want to be able to play, watch TV without it being political. You want to be able to watch anime or, read manga or comics or, read literature that's not necessarily political, because it turns out that politics is stressful and you can't be on all the fucking time. Which is what these people require, by the way. This is literally what they're talking. You could be he's literally saying you can stream and do politics right here. And again, it's because they want politics to be in everything. That way, you, the normal person, cannot escape, to demoralize you, to make you feel powerless as they take over everything you love and everything that gives you peace in life, and they turn it into another chore. They're trying to take your joy away from you. They're trying to take your peace away from you. This is spiteful and malicious to you. The everything is political is not only the ruthless criticism of all that exists, it is active hatred of the person who just wants to grill for not being part of the dialectic engine. So.
These people literally just speak in bumper stickers, dude. Just copy pasting the internet leftist starter pack. What the hell am I looking at? I hate the Reddit.
I mean, she's not entirely wrong. A lot of this is just again, slogan speak. It's just say the Shahada to be. Oh my god, that's actually a really good. That's actually a really good. Now that I'm thinking about it, comparison, because I remember the whole thing with the trans rights. It's just say it. It's what does trans rights mean? What rights do trans people have that are distinct from any other individual person? There's none, right? The trans are not uniquely human or inhuman or uniquely subhuman. They are just simply human. They're not more equal than others. They're not less equal. They're not, they have the same intrinsic human nature. Any human rights is uniformly shared among all human beings because it stems from the same nature that all human beings share. You're not talking about human rights when you're talking about trans rights unless you are literally just talking about the same rights that everyone else has, trans or not. And that's the wordplay that they use to be tricky. It sounds like a good idea. Oh, we're talking about trans rights as human rights. It's that's not that. That is the surface level implication. That is not the actual meaning. It's that esoteric exoteric distinction. The words that sound one way to the uninitiated, but actually mean something totally different to the initiated. When they say things like that, and this includes all the other stuff down here. Hold on. Like the fuck ICE. It doesn't just mean fuck ICE. Almost all of these people, it's also fuck borders and shit and laws, right? Again, you go back to that critical crime studies thing. There's also critical immigration studies. Like fuck Donald Trump and everyone in his administration. Oh, I mean, to be fair, most of these people have Trump derangement syndrome anyway. Fuck Elon Musk. I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. A lot of people have Elon Musk derangement syndrome. Free Palestine. Well, okay, well, here's the question. For all you people who say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, where is the sea and what is the river? Well, the answer is, oh yeah, the entire, every morsel of land that is currently possessed by Israel has to be given up. I'm like, look, man, again, there are real, genuine criticisms you can make of Israel as well. Like, there are genuine not anti-Semitic criticisms you can make about Israel. That's actually not that hard to do. But the problem is that this whole, and this is actually the reason why the two-state solution is the one that is supported by the Catholic Church. There is no pragmatic way to give the state of Israel back to Palestine. First of all, Hamas has been very open about it having a genocidal goal of killing all of the Jewry. So there's that. There's also the problem that even if we took that away, right? Where would the actual Israelis go? If this is stolen land and we were to have to then displace the Israelis, most of whom do not have any ties to any other land, where would you send them? Are you just going to flood Germany and Spain and Hungary with this mass of new immigrants that are not nationalized in any way, shape, or form? No, and there's a very good probability that even in this hypothetical scenario, a lot of these countries would probably not accept such mass immigration at one time anyway. So, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That only really has one logical output, which is the same thing that the Turks did to or the Ottomans did to the Armenians. You march them into the sea and you drown them. It's like, personally, I'm a supporter of the two-state solution too, but I'm also aware that I don't exactly have any answer to any of these problems in the Middle East, which is why I don't really talk about them all that much. And I find it really odd that people pretend like they have a solution in like the United States or in Europe when none of them have to actually deal with or have ever studied any of these issues. The U.S. is on stolen land built by stolen people. Let's do that again. Same thing with the Free Palestine thing. Let's say we give all the land back to the Native Americans. Where the fuck do the Americans go? Right? There is no place to send them. This is a problem without a solution by definition because it allows for perpetual revolutionary causes. It is a problem designed to not have a resolution. It is okay. So yeah, abortionist healthcare is again nesting the idea that the unborn are not human in any real shape or form, and if they are human, their death is negligible or even laudable. It is kind of crazy when you occasionally meet the pro-abortionist. We're not even talking like quote unquote pro-choice. I'm talking actual pro-abortionist who's like, yeah, it doesn't matter, and in fact, it's good. It's like, yeah, that's horrifying. They're not as common as the people who genuinely have good intentions with the pro-choice position, but there are people who have actively malicious intentions as well. So, and again, the trans rights thing, where it's like, again, in that particular conversation are nested assumptions that are not being said because it's not meant for you to understand it. With the whole trans rights thing, they are still doing class conflict theory nested in the language, and there are a lot of useful idiots who do not understand this. So
alone. These people literally just speak in bumper stickers, dude. Just like copy.
Yeah, it is the Shahada, like in Islam, where you say the sacred phrase and you become part of the religion. Yeah, that this is basically what's going on here.
Pasting the internet leftist starter pack. What the heck?
And actually, you know what? Thinking about it, it is kind of it is also kind of a jizya. Jizya being the tax paid by the kafir or the unbeliever or the dhimmi, the protected class in Muslim nations, where it's like, hey, if you pay us, then we won't brutalize you, or we won't brutalize you more. Yeah, this is just an ideological jizya where it's like, hey, say the sacred phrase, and we won't beat you in this Maoist, struggle session anymore. That is a lie, by the way. They do not forgive.
Hell am I looking at? I hate the Reddit ass. Hey, it's super easy. It's crazy. Like 1,000 years ago, this dude's ancestors were hunting mammoths, and now he's on here like, Men should not be speaking like this. I'm sorry. We need another war. The post that really
Oh god, well that's a disturbing thought.
seemed to kick this all off was made by Denims, the self-described largest female political
Oh, it's this cunt.
streamer. Only because I don't stream, Denims. Only because I don't stream. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If Shuon had actually streamed, she would mog Denims.
I don't have any like personal beef with Denims. This isn't like an own Denims video. We used to be kind of cool years ago, but she apparently has some opinions on Emiru, so let's hear
I'm pretty sure she has unspoken opinions about you too. I'm not gonna lie.
her out. Never thought I'd see the day we'd be fence-sitting the modern Gestapo. First of all, she's not fence-sitting. She's just choosing not to talk about politics. Like, in order to fence-sit, you actually have to say something. She didn't even say anything. Like, how do
That's actually a really good point that I haven't seen anyone else point out, to be perfectly honest. Like, Emiru is just recognizing time and place. That there's a time and a place for things to actually happen. And it turns out in the middle of a comfy stream, for example, or in the middle of a gaming stream, it's not exactly time or place for politics to be interjected. And in fact, she probably recognizes, and she says basically this in the video, there's a good reason to suspect that if someone is trying to interject this stuff in a stream, that this is a bad actor trying to cause problems. So she correctly identified that particular problem. Like, look, I watch people stream on Twitch. Most of them, and I also watch, obviously, clips from people on YouTube, and sometimes I watch streams on YouTube. Most of the people that I watch are not going to share my political opinions. I don't really give a shit. I don't really care. I don't need my streamers to reflect my beliefs. I just need them to be funny, or I need them to be entertaining. That's why I watch them. There are some people who do academic streams. There are some people who do commentary streams. There are some people who do entertainment streams. And yes, they're all different functions. They all do different things. But in the end, we are all to put the fries in the bag. We have a role to play. We're not being asked to do extraneous stuff. And if we do the extraneous stuff, sometimes it actually hurts, what we're doing, because people aren't coming to us for, the things that, people are not coming to us for everything. They're coming to us for very specific things. So if we're doing the things that our audience don't want us to do, then, then we're not doing our particular function, which is to entertain.
you even know what her opinion is? Second of all, modern Gestapo? Why is everything the f***ing Holocaust? It's totally normal.
Because it is a easy bludgeoning tool, to be perfectly honest. What the Nazis did was bad. And it was... Okay, so there's an actual historical reason behind this. So you will remember, hopefully, if you were taught anything about history, that the Marxists, the Nazis, and the fascists, all sister religions, by the way, they all come from the same... They all branch off of the same fucking source. They were originally allies. Now, they were never going to stay allies because all of them have very different views on how the world actually has to be saved. So they were going to come to blows eventually. But they were originally allies, and they never really liked each other. So as the World War II progressed on, the Nazis eventually, because they were very prideful and haughty, turned around and they attacked the Soviet Union. And so when the Nazis were actually defeated, it was a pincer maneuver between the socialists from, the Mosleans and, the breadline America from the West, and then the Soviet Union, so the Marxist socialists from the East, pincer maneuvering the racial German socialists in the same. Really, you could just call it the first the first socialist civil war is World War II. You know, and pincer maneuvering them and crushing them that way. And again, as we talked about, the ruthless criticism of all that exists, the subversion of all cultural production, that those Marxists oftentimes, those Marxists took control of the institutions and they redefined a lot of terms over time. And one of the ways that they redefined the terms is through academia. So it is from the academic sphere that we had the over-broadening of the Nazi ideology and the over-broadening of the fascist ideology. Oh, we can't really know what the Nazis or the fascists really believe. It's like, yeah, you can. Rudolf Jung wrote fairly clearly in National Socialism. He's the fucking ideological founder. Like, it's not exactly that hard. Like, he very clearly outlines what he believes. It's not. It's an easily. You can read the fucking book. It's the same thing with, like, again, Italian. It's the same thing with fascism. Oh well, you know, we can't really know. Yeah, you can know what they mean. Giovanni Gentile is the guy who founded the whole thing. Like, none of this is all that hard to understand. It just takes time to actually read it. But the reason you're obscuring it is because it becomes a cudgel. You need to. The Marxist needs to distract from all of the atrocities that they did. For example, the genocide of the Ukrainians, or the various Red Terrors, the mass famines that kill off millions. You know, they have to distract from their particular crimes. And so the way that they do this is they highlight the genuine crimes of their former allies that they were eventually going to blow with, and then they broaden that as a cudgel to be used. So, and with fascism, again, they completely just redefine fascism outside of any useful terminology. Like, the way that fascism is used nowadays in academia is so broad that you could classify Marxism as a form of fascism, even though, no, fascism is its own very distinct ideology. Like, I had a debate with someone about that one time. It was a pretty fun debate, but yeah. So, it is literally just the Marxist subversion of the language through academia.
To criticize ICE. It's totally understandable to have issues with the things they are doing. But modern Gestapo? Don't you guys get tired of this shit? Like, don't you guys get tired of saying, like, isn't this exhausting after a while? Everything is Nazis, everything is the Holocaust, everyone is Hitler. It's like nothing else bad ever happened in history. Like,
yeah, because, I mean, what are the other things that they're going to point to? Like, all the people who die after World War II for all of these atrocities are mostly in communist nations. You know, the Khmer Rouge? Oh, yeah, guess who did that? What about all the people who died in North Korea? Oh, wait, communists again, right? Great Leap Force? Oh, wait, that's China, communist nation. Red Terror in Mongolia? Oh, wait a minute. Communist again. Holodomor? Oh, wait, yeah, I forgot. The Soviet Union was one of the members of the UN Security Council when the United Nations was formed, and any member of the UN Security Council has the authority to veto a ruling by the United Nations on its own. Any one member of the Security Council can do that. And so when the definition of genocide became something that needed to be formalized, you want to guess who had some say in the definition of genocide? Now, I wonder why the Holodomor may have been excluded, from the listing of genocide for quite a while, right? Kind of interesting. I wonder if there's any slant to the definition of genocide by the UN.
What did they used to compare bad things to before World War II? Oh my god, you're literally Napoleon. Also, I love this.
You're literally the Young Turks, right? Oh, by the way, Young Turks, another genocidal organization. World War I this time, though.
Racist chud. Like, where did the racism part, like, where did that come from? Listen, I don't get on camera and start talking about cars or math or taxes or investing or going outside or the plenty of other things I don't know about. I said,
yeah, and also she probably doesn't want to talk about this stuff, to be perfectly honest. And that's entirely fine. Again, if you don't want to talk about this stuff, it's entirely fine, and it tells a lot about a person if they demand that you not only speak on an issue, but demand you speak in a specific way about an issue. It's not a person who cares about you. It's a person that sees you as an instrument to be used. It's an instrumental view of humankind. You don't have any intrinsic dignity or value to said people. You are literally just a tool to be used.
here and talk about the gender war and the culture war because I'm good at those things, and that's what people watch me for. That is my lane, and I stay in it. Emiru likes what she's doing. Her audience likes what she's doing. There are plenty of other channels that will regurgitate your political takes back to you. Just turn on the TV. Turn on CNN. Most people...
Fair. Yeah, that's entirely fair. It's not like CNN is an actual neutral, news organization.
Most normal people, are sick and tired of celebrities just like spewing their political takes completely unprompted. I don't care what Glub Shitto thinks of politics, okay? Why does Glub Shitto have to get on stage and start talking about how we're on stolen land or some shit? Why do you need your political opinions thrown up into your mouth by a celebrity like a fucking baby bird? Like, do you really want Sydney Sweeney throwing up in your mouth? Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Please don't answer that.
She's right when she says most streamers are not qualified to talk about politics. Okay, here's the thing, dude. You actually don't have to be qualified to talk about politics to say ICE. It's not that hard of a concept.
Again, we have an instance of, the leftist pretending not to understand and therefore making dialogue impossible. He knows exactly what Emiru is trying to say. You can tell it on her fucking shit-eating grin face.
You don't have to be qualified to talk about politics to say ICE. It's not that hard of a concept.
You actually don't have to know what you're talking about in order to just say the line. What? You should look into a topic, do your own research, come to your own conclusion, and form...
Again, they don't actually want you to understand any of this stuff. They just want you to be a useful idiot. Again, they want you to be a tool that they can leverage. And it turns out, if you can actually think for yourself, that's not a very useful tool, because it turns out you can actually oppose the thing that they want you to do.
Your own opinion on the topic. You should not just blindly, mindlessly say the line.
You know who doesn't do political content? Cutie Cinderella. Cutie Cinderella literally never does political content. And even she's capable of saying ICE. What about Cinna? You don't have to be a political creator to recognize that it's not hard to say ICE.
You don't have to be a political content creator to say the line. All your other friends are saying the line, Emiru. Why aren't you saying the line, Emiru?
ICE? Okay, but unironically though, them. Straight up. Hey, them. Yeah, it's them, don't care, and if you don't like that I say that, it's you too. You know what I mean? It's really that easy for me, I'm telling you right now.
There's Emiru's roommate saying the line. Aren't we all proud of her? By the way, where are all her friends during all of this? Where are all her morally righteous, good guy, big streamer friends while this is all going down? While she's being dragged by half of the internet for doing absolutely nothing wrong. This girl who literally just came out of an allegedly abusive relationship. This girl who literally...
I do like that she said allegedly, because we don't actually know what the fuck happened there. We definitely do need to see what happened in the investigation. Because I hate to say this, but a lot of times an abusive relationship is not unilaterally abusive. A lot of time it is bilaterally abusive. I'm not saying that unilateral abuse doesn't exist. It does. It's just not nearly as common as people seem to think it is.
Just got assaulted, grabbed by some freak at a convention.
Yeah, and there's another, I commented on that a while ago too, about how Twitch dropped the ball on that shit.
Now this girl is going through all of this. I guess it's fine to be silent when your friend is getting dragged by half of the internet, but don't you dare stay silent about current thing. I don't even know this woman, and I'm sticking my neck out for her because it pisses me off seeing this kind of shit happen to people who absolutely do not deserve it.
If you're above the...
Yeah, I mean, it also shows you about the kind of character Shu actually has, which is why I respect Shu. I don't agree with Shu on everything, and there's a lot of things I disagree with her on. But she actually does seem to have a admirable character, which, again, is why I like her, even though she has very different, opinions than me. So, you can actually like a person, even though if you vehemently disagree with them because of the content of their character. If you're only focused on their ideology, then that is a completely abstract view of a human being, because human beings aren't just doctrines and worldviews. No, human beings are, we have a character, which is distinct from the content of our ideation. So, if the only thing that matters to you is what a person believes, instead of what they actually do, now what they believe is important, but it's not the only thing that's important, then I hate to tell you this, but you have a completely abstract view of what a human being is.
age of 18, you should care about politics in your fucking country. You don't get to be like, well, I don't agree with this whole taxes thing, so I'm just not gonna pay for it.
I also can't help but, like, this is one of those times where it's like, maybe you shouldn't, this kind of reminds me of the line, don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. Now, none of these fuckers are going to watch anything I put out, to be perfectly honest, so nothing that I say matters to them. But don't interrupt your enemies when they make a mistake, because this kind of behavior is grotesque, and it pushes normal people away from this kind of coercive behavior, and it pushes the people you're trying to coerce away, because you're literally doing exactly that. You're trying to coerce them to commit treason against themselves, and that doesn't usually work out very well. So who knows? Maybe Emiru ends up, going way far the other way just to get away from people like her. That is a thing that sometimes does happen.
You can't say like, well, I'm just not going to care about all this politics stuff.
When someone doesn't have an opinion on a political topic, people like you might get a little mad. When someone doesn't pay their taxes, the government comes and arrests them. Okay, so that's the difference between those things.
Yeah, that is a bad comparison.
This weird idea in America especially, where like you can just be an adult and be like, oh, I don't care about politics. What?
Many people, most people, do not care that much about politics. I know to you and me that's like mind-blowing, that's like unfathomable, because our whole life is politics, our job is politics, like I get it. But most people's lives do not revolve around politics. They do other things other than fight with strangers online. Crazy, I know, but man, do I envy them.
Yeah, because it turns out there are more important things in politics. In fact, actually, in general, I don't really like talking about politics. It's just crazy shit happens. And I do have a lot to say. That doesn't mean I like the subject matter. Politics is very banal. It usually has nothing to do with first principles, and it usually has very little to do with integrity. It's usually just a game of, can I get my guy into positions of power? It doesn't even really matter if the guy actually does the thing they want to do. That's usually what politics boils down to in real life, which I find to be incredibly frustrating, which is, again, why I'm not a big fan of politics.
So much happier before I knew. Sadly, it is getting harder and harder for the average person to not care about politics, because politics is seeping into literally everything. Politics will be bending you over and spreading your cheeks and going in dry whether you want it or not. And
yeah, it's demoralization. Again, they want you to feel helpless and powerless as everything that you love is stripped away from you and changed. That is literally the purpose of this. Well, I mean, there's also a secondary purpose of, like, if you can get an entire generation to be raised on this kind of thing. So it's like, let's say, like, this is the whole thing with a modern audience. They're making things for a modern audience. Modern audience does not exist. What they mean when they say that they're making something for a modern audience is they're making something to help create the kind of audience that they would want, which is the one that ideologically aligns with them. And so how do they do this? Well, the complete subversion of cultural production, so that all the future generations ever know is that which is tailored to the ideological project. It is, again, pure manipulation and pure, again, esoteric, exoteric dichotomy.
Fortunately, the people who are like, I just want to be left alone, are the people who are the most fucked by politics.
Yep.
Also, more importantly, Emiru wasn't saying that she doesn't care about politics. She was saying she didn't want to talk about politics. I feel
Yeah, because it's not the place or the time to talk about politics in this particular situation. Why are you bringing it in when it's not appropriate to the situation? And then when you point out that it's not appropriate to talk about it at this particular moment, and then you are coercive about bringing it up, then you're the bad guy, because defending yourself is actually the wrong thing to do. You should just sit down and take the criticism, even though the criticism is totally bad faith. That is also by design. The idea that if you actually fight back, if you actually, again, this kind of relates back to like the zero tolerance policies in school, right? If you actually fight back, then you're not just as bad, you might actually be worse than the person who caused the problem in the first place. Like, nah, just sit down and take it. Turn the other cheek. That's the thing you're supposed to do. It's like, no, absolutely fucking not. Like, it is absolutely okay to not take this kind of abuse. It's like, again, with the whole Cinder thing, which I'm glad that Mama Oko's releasing the Cinder documents, by the way. Where everyone and their mother was like, "Oh, why did you have to make this 1,000-page response?" It's like, well, because these 3 idiots like who didn't have to take any of this public because it wasn't even that bad, actually came out and are like, "Okay, we're going to try to ruin this person's entire career. We're going to release some documents and try to ruin their career." And like, so then she goes away, and then she comes back with receipts. And because she came back with receipts, literally 1,000 pages of receipts, she's the bad guy. Because she should have just dropped it. No, absolutely, fuck off. They tried to ruin her reputation. And this is exactly what's going on right now. It's like, it's not that hard to say the line. The implication being that you're actually the bad guy for not, passively bending to their will, right? Again, not immediately agreeing for any particular reason, even if it's just, hey, this is not the place to talk about this, makes you the bad guy. And then when you defend yourself against the unjust and bad faith criticisms, you are, again, the bad person. That is how this operates. And the only way that this stops is you stop playing the game, which is seemingly what Leaflet is doing, and I totally agree with the way she is approaching a lot of this stuff now, where it's like, the opinions of the people who do this do not matter to me. First of all, they were never going to buy anything that she was making, based observation, but at the same, so they're not customers in any way, shape, or form. But at the same time, it's like, their input also doesn't matter, because we shouldn't be in the same, we shouldn't subject ourselves to these subverted systems. Like Eric July has, for example, talked about the opportunities that we have for using cryptocurrency, for example, specifically Bitcoin and Monero, to create a parallel economy. One that escapes the banking system, and one that escapes, which is controlled, for example, by Visa and MasterCard, which has been extrajudiciously and extra legally imposing regulation on businesses. So they are literally basically inventing law by fiat. We don't have to abide by that. We don't have to let people tell us how we use our own money, because we actually have the opportunity to use freedom-based technologies like crypto, Bitcoin and Monero. We also, again, using that, can create our own parallel communities and parallel economies, separate ourselves from these subverted groups, and operate independently. If we can set up a parallel economy, none of these dickheads mean anything anymore. Because then their money, which was never going to go to us anyway, cannot actually be used to manipulate our money. Like, if I'm getting paid in Monero, which is a privacy inclined Bitcoin, basically, what the fuck does it matter if someone quote unquote cancels me? It's a privacy based cryptocurrency. You don't have to know the explicit identity of anyone involved in the transaction. You just have to be able to facilitate the transaction, which is inbuilt to the currency, by the way. So it's like, what the fuck does it matter? You can still do business, right? No bank is going to come and like debank you or shut you down. So, sorry, a bit of a tangent there. I do heavily believe in the parallel economy thing, because from the parallel economy, we can fight back harder than we are able to right now.
Like, that is a huge difference. I care a lot about, like, skincare, but I don't get on here and talk about, like, peptides and collagen to my audience, because they don't give a shit. They're here to watch
every time I hear the word peptide, I think about peptide computing, funny enough.
Me say feminism is doo-doo and make silly little faces at the camera. Yeah, you like that shit? I hate when grown women don't have a mind of their own. You are 28.
Yeah, You don't speak on an issue. You don't have a mind of your own. It's like, okay, so you don't have a mind of your own if you disagree, eh? The only way to have a mind is to passively bend to your will, eh? Again, words mean nothing to these people. They are oftentimes just a means to manipulate you to get you to do what they want.
Years old, please develop a mind of your
Oh my god, I didn't even read this one.
own. All she does is pander to anime gooner men. No mind of her own. I never liked Emiru, so finding out she's stupid and doesn't have a mind of her own is nice.
Okay, so funny enough, actually, fucking hell. This actually reminds me of a thing that I talked about again in a previous video about the whole critical consciousness thing. That all class conflict theories, whether they be, for example, Marxism, feminism, critical race theory, queer theory, or like critical criminal studies, all of them, they all are predicated on something called critical consciousness. Now, critical consciousness is a special kind of consciousness that you can only get by being part of a particular class, right? So and this is why there's no purpose of debating again in these worldviews. It's just they have the secret knowledge. So why should I talk about and debate issues with the oppressor class? Why? They don't understand what it's like to be part of the oppressed class, and even if I did try to explain it, it wouldn't work because they are incapable on a actual biological level to understand where I'm coming from because they're polylogists. They literally believe that the classes cannot think in the same way. So again, there's no point in talking with these people. Or at least from their perspective, there's no point in talking with these people. I'm not a polylogist. I don't believe in that bullshit. But that whole thing about critical consciousness, it's just enlightenment, gnosis, jhana, bodhi, by any other name. It's just the version used by modern Western Gnosticism. Like, there's this enlightened idea. It's not subject to any kind of empirical criticism or evaluation, and any attempt to do so is to fundamentally misunderstand the type of knowledge that we're actually talking about. So, again, it's like, oh yeah, they don't have, this is literally them just parroting this idea in just different words. You don't have the enlightened consciousness, so you don't really have a mind of your own. You're not a psychic, or even you're not a pneumatic, or even a psychic, using old Gnostic terms. You're a hylic, a materialist. You don't have the enlightenment. So yeah, this is frustrating. How
Please develop a mind of your own. All she does is pander to anime gooner men. No mind of her own.
I'm getting a bit of a class traitor vibe from this one. All she does is pander to the anime gooner men. It sounds like there's some inbuilt feminist implication in here, but which is just a feeling I get. I don't have it's one of those things again. I suspect, but I can't prove.
I never liked Emiru, so finding out she's stupid and doesn't have a mind of her own is nice. The audacity! If she didn't have a mind of her own, she would have mindlessly parroted the shit you want her to say. She would have mindlessly just been like, fuck ice. If Emiru came out...
Yeah, but enlightenment is agreeing with the enlightened position. just pointing that out there, right? Like, again...
and was like, actually, I think Ice is doing a fine job. Do you think they'd be like, ah yes, she has a mind of her own? No, absolutely not. They are not angry that she doesn't have an opinion. They are angry that she doesn't have their opinion.
Yeah, that is exactly the problem that these people have with her.
Absolute audacity to say that this woman doesn't have a mind of her own while thousands of you people swarm her like drones, barking orders at her to say the line. You guys literally operate like the fucking Borg. So what I'm gathering...
A good analogy. That is actually a pretty good analogy.
Is that Emiru is a grown woman who acts like a frail, silly little girl to entertain fat, dirty, incel, Asian fetisher weirdos, and is okay with that, but draws the line at saying Ice is bad? Emiru and Asmon's audience are the same. Incels love Emiru because she confirms the image of the anime bimbo stereotype that incels worship. She definitely cultivated an audience who, in the end of all things, are reactionary. She appeals to violent racists who fetishize Asian women. What the f*** is this Asian fetish thing? Are they just saying this because she's f***ing Asian?
Yes, they are. Again, I've said this beforehand, and maybe I should actually make a video on this at some point, but the amount of hate Asian women get, especially from other women in the West, is actually kind of astounding, because Western women will go fucking mask off about how racist they actually are when they are jealous of an Asian woman. It is fucking astounding, to be perfectly honest. Now there's a number of reasons for this, and it will vary from person to person. But yeah, that would, yeah, they get pretty fucking vile. No one hates women like other women.
Like, I'm trying to find a clip of Emiru saying "sucky sucky $5" or something, but it doesn't exist. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah, of course it doesn't exist, and it doesn't really have to exist. They're gonna just say they're gonna lie about her, and they're gonna pretend like again. That's all they do. That's all these people ever do is they lie. That's all they ever fucking do. Like the whole again. It's like the thing with propaganda I was talking about again in the previous episode was anyone who calls themselves a propagandist is immediately to be distrusted because propaganda is by definition manipulation. So if someone is producing propaganda, then they are by definition admitting to being a manipulative person.
It's not a coincidence that she answered the question this way, and that her fan base consists heavily on Asian fetishes. I don't know where this is coming from, and the woman saying this is literally an OnlyFans, like an Asian OnlyFans model. Like, I'm sorry, are you really the person to be talking about fetishization here?
He's doing this because, again, so Emiru at this point is basically a class trader, a female class trader, and yeah, being Asian, again, she's also at this point basically a race trader to a lot of these people, to be perfectly honest. You got to remember, these people separate human beings into classes. The feminist separates them into male and female, and they place the female as the oppressed and the male as the oppressor, which is a direct mirror to where the idea comes, to the Marxist idea of the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, one oppressor, one oppressed. And again, you have critical race theory, where you have BIPOC, and then you have white, where white is the oppressor and then BIPOC is the oppressed. Well, it turns out if you, again, do this oppressor-oppressed dynamic, Asian will come out as, in the Marxian world, in the Marxian math, as an oppressed class, and then, again, white, because it's critical race theory, as an oppressor class. And it's that whole thing where it's like Asians are... When Asians agree, and when Hispanics agree with the Marxists, we're not white. But as soon as one of us brownies, right, they decide, hey, I actually think the conservatives or the libertarian or the right libertarians are actually correct on these things, then we immediately become white, no matter what the actual content of our skin tone is. Which is a good indication that, again, white has nothing to do with skin tone or ethnicity. It is merely just a manipulative class label. They're basically implying she's a race trader and that she is a sex trader and that she is, by definition, not by definition, that she is, in the way she behaves, a petty patriarch or a petty white, So it's like, if you know anything about the petty bourgeoisie were the proletariats who, instead of siding with the proletariat revolution, sided with the with the bourgeoisie instead. There's a lot of cartoonishly stupid literature regarding that from the Marxian tradition. I think the funniest thing, and I might actually use this as like a superpower in a story later on. But there's the whole Vladimir Lenin. Every petty bourgeoisie has a particle of Hitler in him. It's like, that's just a fucking it's all rhetoric. That's all it is. it is all just an attempt to abuse her into submission through language.
The most insane part of all of this had to be when her ex-boyfriend, her allegedly abusive ex-boyfriend, posted his own ice in the middle of his ex-girlfriend being canceled for not saying that. Like, how fucking petty do you have to be to subtweet your ex like that? Another character involved in all this is former booby streamer Casey0n.
It reminds me of whenever Amaranth started wearing a cowboy hat, because that's whenever she started going like full Nazi, basically. She started wearing the cowboy hat. It's like whenever
these people don't call you a Nazi because you are a Nazi. They call you a Nazi because they want to see you broke, destitute, and your children abused. and they think it's funny.
These Texas girls in like these Austin, Texas streamer circles start wearing cowboy hats. That's whenever you got to watch out.
A woman in Texas wearing a cowboy hat? Lord, take me out. Take me out back behind the shed. Put me out of my misery if I ever become this politically brain rotted. Holy shit.
Like,
I mean, yeah, well, let's be fair. Casey Tron's a fucking idiot. We all know this. Anyone who knows who Casey Tron is knows that she's an absolute moron. But, like, yeah, it makes sense that people from outside of Texas, they come to Texas and they wear the fucking Stetson because the Stetson's fucking cool. But we all know this. Also, it protects from the sun. So it's like just, it functions as a good hat. It also helps in the rain, by the way, because of its shape. But, like, it's a cool hat. Everyone loves the Stetson. Let's be perfectly fucking honest. It's like a cheapow or a dirndl. Every fucking person loves a cheapow or a dirndl. And the people who say that they don't are fucking liars. Let's be fair.
you know that she probably has like weird incels donating her hundreds of dollars. It's because, like, in my opinion, like, it's all a facade to appeal to the worst type of men. Because, like, really misogynistic, shitty incel-like men, they like a woman that doesn't have any opinions. I think that she also plays into how a lot of incels will fetishize Asian women. Her whole platform is just like appealing to like the worst fucking men. She's like,
so you'll notice again, left-wing streamer, allegedly a feminist, right? Like, oh yeah, you can't do sexual shaming, and then they turn around and shame their opponents with sexually degrading comments, like such as calling them incels, right? Whereas like the insult used to be about the abuse of the sexual capacity in its misuse. Calling someone like we all know what it is, right? Then it turned into, well, now that sexual deviancy is, the norm, well, now it can't be, oh yeah, well, you have sexual discipline. If you, you have to be, the insult is that you are incapable of, again, obtaining the sexual act, which is now a moral failure. Even though, for example, even if you're a married man like Rev, somehow you're an incel, even though you're a married man. And, well, how exactly is marriage actually, like, sealed? Yeah, but they don't care about that. They don't care about that. Again, they don't call you this because they think you actually are. They call you it to hurt you. Because they think that, especially with the incel term, they think that anyone gives a shit about being called an incel. I mean, if you do, you're a fucking idiot. But that being said, they also, again, they hold incels to the same account as, like, Nazis. They want incels hurt, and they want incels to be subjected to life ruination. So again, they don't call you this because they think you are. Because if they thought, you'd have to be retarded to think that Rev is an incel, to be perfectly honest, right? But they call you this again because they want to see you ruined, and that's how they mark you for ruination. Hold on. Edo-sen says, wait, and who you catered to, Casey, when you wear a ton of makeup and boobs out? I mean, yeah, that's why Shuan had pointed it out. Boob streamer. We all know we're all aware of the problem Twitch has with specific content, right? The hypocrisy is not something that actually matters to these people. They don't really care if it's hypocritical, because consistency isn't what they care for. Again, it's as Vosh once said, my principle is winning. They don't care about anything else. They just want to win.
basically, like, she's like a pick-me for like incel freaks.
It's another thing with the pick-me thing. The pick-me thing is like the most ridiculous example of this. Like, that they'll call a woman who's actually successful in finding like male attention a pick-me, and half of these women, or not half, actually most of these women, yeah, they're just upset that they can't get the attention of the men that they actually want. If we're being totally fucking honest, a lot of these women who use the term pick-me as an insult, they can't get the attention of the men they actually want the attention of. And they're bitter at the women who actually are able to get the attention. And so they use this term because there's an implication of like disapproval from your female peers, and women do care about on average, the opinions of their female peers, even though, again, all women know that no one hates women more than other women. So, make of that what you will. But yeah, again, words not designed to communicate the truth, but designed to communicate ruination. You call someone a pick-me, you're marking, again, them out for ruination within the group. That is the design of the word. It does not mean anything in terms of, like, again, factual content. And, it's funny enough, a lot of the quote-unquote pick-me's get picked. Just saying.
So this fucking pick-me shit, dude. It's gonna be the death of me. Before making this video, I watched a bunch of Emiru stuff, and I saw no sign.
Again, Shoe on Head was called a pick-me, but let's rewind a little bit, and you'll notice something that is actually really funny, and it actually highlights how deceptive Therm is. You want to notice something on her right? Yeah, it is her right. On her right ring finger? Yeah. I mean, what does it matter if Shoe's a pick-me? She did get picked. Right? She did actually get picked, unlike a lot of these bitter women who are just jealous of women who actually can get the attention of the men that they want. Yeah. I mean, says quite a lot.
Bunch of Emiru stuff, and I saw no signs of, like, pick-me behavior at all. At least with some streamers or some YouTubers. People could be like,
yeah. That look, right? Again, the boob streamer fucking making these allegations and saying these things. Yeah, it's very obvious to anyone with, it really activates the almonds, doesn't it, right?
oh, they criticize women, so they're trying to be, like, one of the good ones, and they're a pick-me. Like, okay, sure, like, that's retarded. We all know that's retarded. But at least I can, like, kind of see how is Emiru a pick-me? She doesn't even do that shit. Like, where is the pick-me thing coming from? No.
It's because by not saying anything, again, she frustrates the dialectical process. She frustrates the movement because she makes it possible to be apolitical by simply being apolitical. She shows that it's a possible thing to do. That's why.
Really though, what makes her a pick-me and not the booby streamer or OnlyFans models calling her a pick-me? You are.
So the booby streamer is, trying to move the dialectic forward, so she doesn't get to. She's not called the bad terms. The bad terms are reserved only for the ideological enemies. Even if it turns out you are actually the thing that is being that you're talking about. If you're actually racist, which anti-racists are, we all fucking know this. You're not actually a racist because you're on the good guy's side, and because you're on the good guy's side, all your racism is justified. That's the same thing with like the misandrists and the feminist sphere. It's like, well, you're on the good side, so you're not really a sexist, because sexism only applies to oppression of the oppressed only applies to discrimination against the oppressed class. And that's how they get that weasel word thing of you can't really be racist against the white, because it turns out that, again, the white is the oppressor class, so you can't be racist against the oppressor class because the oppressor class actually, by virtue of being the oppressor, deserves the punishment. Again, it's like when the proletariat took over in the Marxist revolutions, they actively punished the bourgeoisie for the perceived slight at being, because it's a class conflict. And again, it's all these other ones are doing. When they call you these things, they are actively, well, they do believe that you should be punished for these attributes that they believe you have, but Anyway, yes, you can obviously be racist against white people. No, there is no intrinsic dignity or that is anything else from like you don't have any more dignity because you're being racist or sexist or class conscious against the alleged oppressor class, especially when there is no such oppression going on. All of this oppression bullshit is manufactured by the Marxists, and oftentimes they end up creating a lot of the systems that cause the problems in the first place. So
literally selling your body for men to consume. If men do not pick pictures of your ass, you can't pay rent.
Yeah, and Hat0nFoot, you're completely correct about that. It is pure jealousy walking in a red flag.
no bigger pick-me on earth than a fucking porn star.
Yep.
And me. I don't care about being called a pick-me. I've been doing
Okay, that was funny.
this for over a decade now. I'm used to it. I've been called it thousands of times. I am a 35-year-old married mother. I do not give a shit. I do care.
Yeah, again, because she knows that it's all a bunch of petty bitches who are unhappy with their own lives. And they're just upset that she actually feels comfortable enough to say the things she actually believes, even if it makes the other women look bad. Because, again, the women that are calling her that are petty bitches that are miserable in their own lives.
However, when other women are called pick-me for the crime of not following a hive mind, I see it so often in, like, the VTuber community. Like, all these...
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there was that whole conversation that was not too long ago about right-wing VTubers and how they get excluded from the larger VTuber community. Which is, again, another reason that, like, if you're a part of the right-wing VTuber sphere, or if you want to be able to actually have access to right-wing VTubers for collabs, you probably need a parallel community established, which, you know, is not, you know, all that really takes is just people getting together and talking about it.
VTuber anime women will be called pick-me's for just saying their opinions. You have to understand, like,
Yeah, and again, I forgot about that, yeah. But it's like, they went after fucking Jelly and Pippa, and neither of them are all that particularly right-wing. Again, I'm pretty sure both of them are centrists. But again, anyone to the right of fucking, like, Mao is, you know, apparently ultra-right, is hard right. Like, these are intrinsically unreasonable people. They just want power, they want domination, and they want to hurt the people. And they want to hurt people in the process.
These people, whenever a woman has, like, an opinion that is not, like, the corporate HR-approved opinion of the week,
And it's the HR opinion because, again, it's managerialism, which, again, was a Marxist subversion of the corporations.
Whenever a woman doesn't toe the line of the current thing, in this case, whenever a woman doesn't say anything, she's called a pick-me. You know, she just must have these opinions for men. No other reason. Every woman is secretly a big, progressive feminist. And if they're not, they're just doing it for male attention. Because I'm sure someone who looks like this is really starving for male attention.
Yeah, I mean, we can all admit, Emiru is a real cutie. Like, she is actually gorgeous. So, I mean, yeah.
And then in my opinion, it's like she's not entertaining whatsoever. She's like, I would literally rather watch paint dry.
So true.
Okay, again, that's very clearly rhetorical hyperbole. She would not literally watch paint dry. And I'm pretty fucking certain about that. Like, but...
Because you know what is far more entertaining than a cute, high-energy cosplay streamer reacting to memes? This. This is way more entertaining. And if you don't agree, you're just like an incel. Okay, bitch. Eventually, after a few days of being dogpiled by the most annoying people on Earth, Emiru came out with a statement. Hello, it's very rare I will speak my mind, but I'd rather get my thoughts out there, so apologies if this is long. There's a clip from my stream that's been circulating a lot, so I'd like to explain it for anyone who was hurt or shocked by it. It should go without saying that no one deserves to live their life in fear of being killed or taken away from their homes or families, regardless of who is doing it, but especially not because of ICE or any other government agency. I understand the world is a very cruel and messed up place. You don't have to study politics or actively read the news to know that. I would never want to invalidate anyone who struggles with those things, and an agency causing fear and suffering deserves zero support. To me, that's not even political, it's basic human empathy. Now, I thought that statement was perfectly fine. My issue with it is, she didn't have to make it. She was
Yeah, first of all, she didn't have to make it. I mean, I do have issues with that particular statement, but she didn't have to make it, and she probably would have been better off if she didn't make it, to be perfectly honest. Like, if people are trying to coerce a statement out of you, just tell them to go fuck themselves, to be perfectly honest. Like, that is the actual appropriate response to that. I mean, I do think that there are very obvious factual errors in that statement, but again, this was very clearly a PR move. Maybe she actually does believe like this, but it's written in a way that makes me believe it is a PR move, even if she actually believes it. Because you can have multiple motivations for doing a thing. It could be that she does actually believe this, but she didn't want to talk about it, and so she was forced to talk about it, which would still make it a PR move, even if she actually does believe it. It doesn't necessarily invalidate the authenticity of her belief in it. It just, again, shows that it was coerced out of her, when she shouldn't have had to have said anything about it if she didn't want to at all. Again, it shows the content of the character of the people who badger this person into making the statement.
Basically forced to come out and say her opinion. So did these freaks finally back off once Emiru made
Fuck no, they did not.
her opinion about ICE clear? No, of course not. Nazi response.
Again, even kowtowing and like being like, yeah, I'll make the response. Oh, you don't believe? Remember earlier you had people saying she doesn't actually believe what she's saying. So now they're just gonna accuse her being a liar.
LDR, go f yourself.
Funny enough, I at least gave the charity to say, look, I think this is a PR response, but she could actually believe it. That's not possible to these people. Again, they will not give you any kind of charity.
In your PR apology. And there it is. Of fucking course she's another dumb Girl, we are not as dumb as you look. You're still a racist chud, but continue to enjoy the money you get from your incel audience because they're disgusting, just like you. All I hear is I support is
the fucking heart. The fucking heart after, like, just being vile human beings, right?
the money you get from your incel audience because they're disgusting, just like you. All I hear is I support Israel and my name is Emiru. Wait, what?
Again, these people don't believe that anything is, like, actually a separate topic. The whole idea behind interlocking systems of oppression basically means that if you disagree on any individual thing, since all of the systems are interlocking, any one of them persisting means all of them persist. So you can't really oppose the patriarchy without opposing capitalism. You can't really oppose capitalism without opposing whiteness. You can't or white supremacy. You can't really oppose white supremacy without opposing colonialism or without opposing colonialism. You can't really oppose colonialism without opposing healthism. You can't really oppose healthism without okay, what's another I've actually forgotten where specifically like how many ones I've actually said because they go fucking forever. Yeah. It again, first of all, they didn't care. They just wanted you to bow down, and because you resisted at all, and these people are not used to people resisting them, instead of just passively bending to their will, they will punish you even if you kowtow. So there's no point in kowtowing. Edo Sen says the summit of the streamer world is 99% wolves just waiting to tell you apart. Oh yeah, I mean, you're completely correct about that, and it's the same thing in like the VTubing sphere too. A lot of the people, especially in the indie VTuber sphere, but corporate as well. But like in the indie VTuber sphere, yeah, a number of the people at the top, not all of them, but a number of the people at the top are wolves waiting to tear each other down, and like we've seen this happen multiple times. So,
where the f did Israel come from? What?
Oh yeah, that was the whole thing. Israel is accused in many of these things of being an example of whiteness because it's Western culture in a distinctly Eastern area. It is accused of being a patriarchal system. It is accused of being a capitalist, affectation. It is accused of being a colonialism, specifically the claim that Western authority imposes itself onto the Middle East, specifically Arabs, through Israel. All kinds of accusations made about Israel. So again, since it is related to any of these individual issues, you can't oppose the oppressive system, which is a series of interlocking subsystems, without opposing it all. So, again, if you frustrate the system, then you support, by proxy, any of the alleged oppressive systems. So it's like, oh yeah, I don't particularly, if you say, I don't really like capitalism, but I support the patriarchy, well, then by supporting the patriarchy, you support capitalism. They're not separable systems in, for example, intersectional thought.
I don't like to talk about politics equals I'm a Nazi and I'm ashamed of my opinions. Everyone knows what's up. She's a fascist in disguise and is squirming. Emiru.
Here's the thing. Again, it's very obvious that these are also meant to be insults because the whole thing is like if you actually meet a Nazi is not usually going to be ashamed that, like, they're not going to be ashamed that they are a Nazi. It's a thing that they believe, right? So, like, people, when they recoil at being called these horrible things, it's usually a pretty good indication that they are not that thing per se. Like, if I were to say for someone, someone's like, "Oh, you're a feminist," or "You're a Marxist," two things that I think have a very negative, that I have a very negative connotation to. They're not gonna, if they're a feminist or a Marxist, they're not gonna be like, "Oh, hold on, like, hold on, I'm not actually that." They're gonna say, "Yeah, and." Same thing if you meet a Nazi and you're like, "Oh, well, you're a Nazi," and they're like, "Uh-huh, I think we've already established this." They know that this, they know that this is reputation destruction. That's the purpose of this.
You are garbage Nazi loving c***. You got orange around your mouth. Say F you, Asmongold. If you're neutral, if you're neutral, you might as well say you're MAGA. Stand for something, ho.
Again, it's an unpopular opinion, but I say this with the fullest amount of love. This is why universal suffrage is a mistake. Like, not everyone should be able to actually voice their opinion with a vote, because not everyone is qualified, if you will, to actually have a meaningful say or a legitimate say. Plus, like, to be fair, like, none of us have. Anyway, well, that's a discussion for another topic.
That's what Trump wants, for everyone to be quiet about it. The idea of get off the internet is so f***ing ignorant. This
Again, silence is violence.
dumb cunt needs to shut her f***ing mouth.
Again, you notice how this man can be as sexist as he wants to a woman because she is a class traitor. Because she's not part of the mystical body. She's been excommunicated from the mystical body of the oppressed class. So therefore, she is now a petty patriarchist, and therefore can be abused for being a petty patriarchist by, again, leveraging what class she should be leaning into.
Thank God her downfall is happening. I've been hating on her since day one and knew something was off about her. Not a good statement. She implicitly disavowed ICE, but not so much the actual Trump admin. Yeah, you just...
Again, interlocking systems. It didn't matter that she said, "Look, I disagree with ICE and what's going on here." But the fact that she didn't directly call Orange Man bad. You cannot satisfy these people because they demand total submission. And they do not deserve your submission.
About ICE, but what about the whole Trump administration? They're like literally the mouse from If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. I was like reading that book to my toddler the other day.
What the fuck is this? Never heard of this.
And I was like, oh my god, this is literally Twitter. You cannot give them an inch, dude. Of course are incel fans swooping in to protect the poor little 28-year-old. Ah yes, incels! Known for defending women online. What? What the f does the word incel even mean anymore? Does it just...
Again, it doesn't mean anything. Again, it's just a word meant to mark someone for reputation destruction. That's all it is meant to cause confusion in people like you and me, but to mark someone as a target for people in the initiated circle.
Does it mean man now? It just means man. Man I do not like. I had no idea this was a thing until yesterday. How come no one told me Emiru low-key a femcel? Femcel! Emiru's a femcel! Oh my f***. Do people just not know what words mean anymore? How are they coming to these conclusions?
Oh, hold on. Hopefully I don't get copyright struck from this, but I have to do this. Let's see if it pops up. The old Freewind quote.
Demons are beasts who...
Oh my god, they got the fucking... Every fucking time. There we go. Okay, this is gonna be... Oh my god, it's crashing. So this is gonna be in the Japanese.
お母さん。
償う機会を与えてやってもいいじゃないか。村長。ふざけないで。うちで手当てをしよう。
Emiru.
Why are they cutting it? Oh my god! It's like they cut this scene quite apart quite a bit. Let's just get to the part where we're actually interested in. This is not the scene I'm looking for, it seems. Anyway, so. Well, I guess it's not on YouTube, or it's not showing up in my feed, it seems. Which is a thing that goes on with, like, newer anime, it seems. Anyway, so the line I was thinking of is the whole demons, words don't mean anything to demons. They use it, the words are just a means they use to deceive people.
I mean, have you looked at her? I mean, look at her. Look at her. Just look at her. Look at her. Yeah, sorry, I don't see it. I think you guys just might be mentally ill. We need to do something about these male-centered women. Okay, first of all, nothing is more male-centered than centering your life around hating men. Men just live rent-free.
And yeah, fair enough. That she is right about this.
Your fucking head. Take it up with God. Go to therapy. Do literally anything else than make it our problem. Fuck her, and especially fuck her bestie Asmongold. I hope they get kirked. 30-year-old woman too scared to say fuck ice to keep her incel audience happy. Let's hope she gets...
Found it. To them, words are merely a means to deceive.
Abused again. Couldn't happen to a better person. Next time this cunt is assaulted, I'm gonna laugh and laugh. Fuck her and fuck ice and fuck you if you support this cunt. Emiru deserved what Miskiff did.
Again, they hate you. They want bad things to happen to you, and they will outright admit it. Let's see. Again, these people are saying, a lot of these people believe that Miskiff, a lot of these people probably believe that Miskiff abused her. They're just literally coming out and saying, well, she deserved to be abused.
Did to her. Fuck Emiru for supporting ICE. I genuinely hope this bitch gets oh, okay. I reported that one.
I mean, yeah, again, these people, you know, what was the thing that Sam Hyde said?
Holy shit. What is wrong with these people? See, you don't understand. I'm good guy, which makes it okay for me to say fucked up things about bad guy. You think saying that to someone is fucked up? Well, you should be abused too, because you're probably also bad guy. It's called being on the right side of history, chud. Look it up. Nazis deserve death, and silence is compliance. May I just...
I mean, the Muslim world seems to have that view about, for example, sexual consent. I'm just saying.
Remind the audience that this is what she said.
If you need a streamer who doesn't even know anything about politics to tell you about politics, you probably just need to get off the internet.
Ladies and gentlemen, a Nazi that deserves death. What?
Yeah, again, they don't really see you as equally human. They see you as a monster to be slain.
After making her terrible statement full of lies, Emiru decided to follow right-wing grifter Shoe-on-Head. Of course.
Right-wing. Again, doesn't mean anything. It just means opposes the Marxist version of the dialectic. You can still be a dialectician and be right-wing to these people, so long as your dialectic is not Marxian in flavor.
Of course, Emiru is now following a fellow pathetic pick-me for being quiet about ICE. They both don't want to piss off their 100% right-wing gooner fanbase.
Complete disconnection from reality.
For the record, my fan base is probably like 70% right-wing and 80% gooner. Okay, but for some reason, they didn't mind when I came out and harshly criticized ICE in my last video. Yeah, some disagreed, but for the most part, they didn't care. As long as you aren't preaching from an ivory tower with no nuance, rhyme, or reason, people don't care. I'll say...
I actually forgot she had that video out before I did this, so I should probably react to that video as well. But I'm going to get through some other things before I go to there, because I have a whole series of things set up to react to.
Some shit like, we should decommodify housing. And the right-wingers in my audience are just like, okay, call me mommy. These people cannot fathom a universe.
I mean, again, I'm fairly tolerant with, that sent me for a loop. I did not expect that, but I mean, fair, that is... That is a running joke. I don't understand why that confused me when I heard it. It might just be because like I actually have a genuine aversion to any positive connotation to communism because I see it just as bad as Nazism, to be perfectly honest.
Where people just disagree. Oh, you're just scared. You don't want to upset your chud audience. I upset my chud audience every goddamn day. You're the ones terrified of your own fucking cult. God forbid you only agree with 99% of the hive mind approved opinions. God have mercy on your soul. I do not envy you. Once you bend the knee to these people, once you apologize or capitulate, it's over. These people don't actually want an apology. They want to humiliate you. They want to drag you down. At the end of the day, they have found a socially acceptable way to bully people. That's what this is. A lot of people in response.
Hence, Crybully, because they cry as you strike out to defend yourself, even though they started it.
Response to Emiru's statement were like, why did you apologize to the mob? You know, you bent the knee, you're a coward. And honestly, people don't realize how insane it can get. These people, the cult of the Crybully, they come in swarms, they get in your head, they prey on your empathy, they isolate you from your friends, they make you feel like a terrible person for having milquetoast normal ass opinions, or in this case, no opinion. And when
Yeah, I mean, again, the Aiden Paladin video I linked in a previous video talking about how narcissists often exploit, because they understand empathy, to their own advantage. It's called dark empathy.
you are someone who is not used to dealing with these types of people, or you are someone in like a vulnerable state of mind, it is very easy for these cult-like tactics to work. This shit works especially well with women in particular, not to be sexist, but it's just true. Honestly, you know, now that I think about it, the only people who are immune to this are like autistic people. I swear to God, people on the
I have a friend who none of this shit ever made sense to, and I had to explain to him, is like, you are literally too autistic to be propagandized by the left. This is also why they will use ableist insults, like again, calling someone like an autist as an insult. Oftentimes, is because if you literally cannot be indoctrinated for one reason or another, right? Well, then again, you can't be used to move the dialectic forward. Now, granted, some autists can be victims of this. Just because you're autistic doesn't mean you are immune. It depends on how your autism is expressed. But there are some people who are legitimately just resistant by natural capacity to Marxist subversion, and it's fucking hysterical. But it's like, oh, autism is a superpower, literally. In this case, immune to Marxist propaganda. But then again, you also see that there is a surprising number of autists who fall for the queer theoretic stuff. The person I'm thinking of was not vulnerable to that either, but, so.
spectrum are immune to the Crybully tactics. What happened is Emiru just saw like a shit ton of people who were mad at her, and she wanted to do the correct thing. Unfortunately, this is just gonna make it worse. And they're moving on to one of their favorite tactics.
The big question in everyone's mind is,
are they gonna goalpost move? We're like, oh, you said this, but you didn't go.
Well, are you still friends with Asmongold?
While it is a
They goalpost moved, yep. Again, because like a cult, they require you to cut off ties with the people outside of your group. Because then if the only people in your sphere are the people who are in the cult, it means that you have no tether to the outside world. It's actually, so, it is a clever way, it's an evil way, but it's a clever way to control someone. Because if the only people you have any kind of relation with are the people in the cult, the excommunication is a terrifying prospect because you have no one to help shoulder life with you, to help you in life when you get expelled or excommunicated. Human beings have a natural terror of this because back in the day when we were, for what we were designed or evolved, it doesn't really matter either way. The effect is the same. We were like acclimated biologically to a tribal environment. So what happens when the tribe kicks you out? Well, the tribe is not only helping you obtain resources to survive. The tribe is also there to defend you against aggressors, whether they be natural predators or, other human beings. So you've lost all sense of protection if you're excommunicated from the tribe because you have no backup. This is the implicit fear that cults use when they get you to isolate yourself so that only the cult has any kind of social connection to you, and they threaten you with excommunication if you say anything about it, if you step out of line. It is evil behavior. It's deviously brilliant, but it is evil behavior.
Appreciated that you are taking a stand and clarifying the clip. You do continue to be vague about how deep your associations with Asmon are. So
yeah, they're trying to coerce her into giving them more leverage over her by, again, threatening to continue to ruin her reputation if she doesn't cut off contact with everyone who would be willing to help support her if she did actually lose her career. That is the design of this.
So hopefully you've cut ties with that hate-mongering Nazi troll Asmon, right? Glad you made this and owned up to it, but you're still friends with Asmongold, so it doesn't read as earnest. Almost a decent explanation, but the elephant in the room is that your friendship with Asmongold is holding this back from seeming sincere.
And by the way, this goalpost moving will never stop. It will always be goalpost move, goalpost move, goalpost move for two functions. One, to get more control over you, but two, there is this particular movement has a very strong knack for trying to get people to deny their sense of reality. Not just to, again, say the line because you believe it, but to get people who don't believe it be browbeaten into a position where they say the line despite not believing it. Again, it's a whole thing where it's like, you see this with the queer theory thing, where it's like, well, you could just say it. I mean, I could, but it would also be me lying. Why would I say it? Right?
Okay, now what about your best friend Asmongold? Denounce Asmon or I'm not taking this seriously. You're friends with Assmold. Assmold?
I'm pretty sure she's still friends with Asmongold.
Now, whatever you think of Asmongold, he is friends with Emiru. They are friends, even though they disagree with each other. Crazy, right?
I literally said, like, I don't agree with the things he says. Like, what do y'all want me to do? Like, fucking shoot him on stream?
Yes, that is what they want you to do. Yes. Around 2018...
honestly, unironically, some of these people would probably support, what a freeze frame, would probably actually laud that.
I was facing nearly daily harassment for being friends with someone who was on the right. Hundreds of people were on my ass like every day. They were calling my job. They got emails of my family members. It was like non-stop. Now, this person was a good friend of mine, but in order to get all these people off my back, I did probably the cringiest thing ever, and I publicly disavowed her. Publicly disavowed a friend of mine over political differences. Now, for those of you who are new here, that sounds like something I would never do, but I did it. I bent the knee to a faceless mob of people who hate me, and in return, I received nothing.
Yeah, because, again, this is all a means of punishing you. Again, it doesn't really, part of the punishment is getting you to betray yourself. It is literally that simple.
Harassment didn't stop, the hate didn't stop. Well, needless to say, karma is real, and the same thing happened to me years later. I was publicly disavowed by friends over political differences. This story ultimately does have a good ending. Me and my friend from 2018, we made up years ago, but looking back on all this in 2026 is extremely embarrassing. And if I knew what I knew now, I would have just told those people to go fuck themselves. But in the moment, it's incredibly stressful, and you just kind of want it all to stop. And you will do—
Yeah, that's by design. They're doing this by design. The whole thing is, the very process of this happening is part of the punishment. Again, there's a reason why it's sometimes compared to a Maoist struggle session.
Do whatever you can.
The struggle itself and the humiliation involved is part of the punishment. And the ultimate goal is to get you to betray yourself, to willingly decide, to get you to willingly decide to let myself go and just accept the guilt that's false is better than the abuse that I'm currently undergoing.
To make it stop. So I understand why Emiru came out and made a statement. I just really hope she doesn't wind up disavowing friends over political differences like I did. It was a huge mistake and it is not worth it.
I mean, I agree. Whatever you think of the friends that she has, I mean, they're still her friends. And from what I understand, these people have been are actually willing to stand up for her. None of these people demanding her acquiesce would ever do that.
Because you are going to find yourself surrounded by people who see you as a temporary ally and not a real friend.
It's not even a temporary ally. They see you as an instrument, a tool to be used, and then, again, as I said, discarded.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not a never apologize person. You should apologize if you actually do something wrong, if you actually wronged someone. But
I would agree with that. I think that's actually true. You should apologize if you did something wrong and you recognize you did something wrong. That does not mean that you ever have to ever acquiesce to any of these, again, subversives.
You shouldn't apologize to a nebulous, faceless mob of people.
Exactly. It's like, if you need to apologize to someone, you can do it privately. That's not that fucking hard. Again, not everything has to be public.
While facing down a barrel of a gun. There is nothing that she could say and no amount of money she could donate that could convince me she's not a soulless ghoul like all the men she's happily surrounded herself with for years.
She said the quiet part out loud. She just said the quiet part out loud. There is no forgiveness. There is no way to absolve you of the sin. You are condemned, and you will never find respite. You are only to be used as a tool.
There's nothing you can ever do to please these people, so why bother? They will not be happy until you kill yourself, and even then they will dance on your grave. And I know, with...
Or, as they did with Chibi Reviews, find the grave of your brother and desecrate it, just because it happens to be someone tangentially related to you.
Everything going on right now, is this really a video about cancel culture in 2026? And it's yeah, I don't know. First of all, you should expect that. You clicked on a shoe on a head video. But second of all, yeah, I feel like this is kind of important to talk about. I feel like this type of thing is part of the reason we are where we are right now. This type of stuff drives people away from the left, and
understandable. Who the fuck wants to put up with this?
More importantly than that, it's just evil. I saw...
You makes the very clear observation here. Again, more importantly than it's just a bad optic thing, it's just fucking evil. Yes. Fair enough.
Some leftists covering...
The classic debate tactic of you lead with your weakest move and then you conclude with your strongest move.
Emiru being cancelled, and they were like, the cultural shift is here. Woke 2.0, we don't play around, we're mean now. Woke 2.0? Because Woke 1.0 worked out so well for you guys in the country, right? You're supposed to learn from your mistakes, not double down and get worse. I don't know.
You forget that, again, this whole movement is based on critical consciousness, an enlightenment idea. The idea that we already understand how reality works, and so therefore, if something goes wrong, it's not our conception of the world that's wrong, it's the world itself. So the world has to be brought into alignment. They're not going to learn from their mistakes because they don't believe they are making mistakes. And if they believe that mistakes are made, it's going to be in how people responded to them, not in how they conducted themselves. Setup.
How you can look at the last 10 years and be like, we have got to get more annoying. What are you doing?
Because again, it's not that they are at fault. It's not that they're wrong. It's that the world itself is wrong. And so the world itself has to be brought into conformity with them, not the other way around.
Attacking normie streamers for not wanting to be involved in political discourse. Also, I feel like this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm not smearing, the left as a whole, okay? This isn't fucking Fox News. This isn't the Nuxanor channel. I'm well aware there are plenty of left-wing people, especially in my audience, who feel the same way I do. I'm talking about a certain faction of the mostly online left. I was about to say it's a loud minority, but I don't even...
To be fair, Shoe on Head is a leftist speaking out against this, so this should be bleedingly obvious. But again, sometimes you have to say the bleedingly obvious.
I think it's a minority anymore. I think it's a majority. I feel like I'm one of the only ones holding down the fort. Me and Anna Kasparian. And every day I'm called a right-wing grifter for being hey, maybe we can focus on the issues that actually affect the working class. Things that actually help people, not stupid fucking shit going after e-girl cosplay streamers. Can we just get back to the fact that we are all being ruled by satanic billionaire pedophiles who may or may not be eating children, please? Thank you.
But the Tao is up. Our sacrifices to Moloch have given us prosperity, as they did in the ancient days when we sacrificed babies for rain. Oh my god, yeah. I mean, again, she was actually right on this one too. Again.
In conclusion, Emiru did nothing wrong. People are tired of having politics shoved down their throat, and you don't need to speak about things you don't want to speak about. You don't have to do that. You don't have to say the line, actually. This is mass psychosis, rivaling on 2020. These people are trying to socially ostracize this woman for not putting like a black square on her Instagram. They're just mad at Emiru for not doing like the ice bucket challenge.
So I'm gonna posit that one of the reasons why these people are losing their fucking minds right now, and why things have been so eventful at the moment, is that some of these people are to the idea that the upcoming midterms are a existential threat. Now, what I mean by that is that the idea that if they lose the midterms, and if the things like the Save America Act actually function, that they can't leverage like illegal immigration as a voting cheat, then they're never going to be able to get power again. And I do think some of these people genuinely believe that this is an existential threat to the leftist movement in the United States. I don't think. So there's also the thing of, again, the left is not used to the right fighting back. It's kind of like that thing what Jackson said on the other side, where anyway. But in the case of the left and the right, it actually is correct that like the right doesn't really fight back against the left. The right oftentimes just slows down the pace, oftentimes even acquiesces by giving in to bills so long as there's sufficient pork baked into the bill, but it doesn't actually stop the leftist progress. It just somewhat slows it down so the progress is still being made. The idea that, again, these people perceive the right as actually fighting back when it's not really the right, it's just the center and the right teaming up to be like, hey, let's cool the fuck down. The fact that, again, they're getting pushback against this when they've never experienced real pushback before, and because you got to remember, the Weather Underground people actually fucking won. They actually won the culture war for the most part. Or at least they had won it, which is why we're seeing all this bullshit right now. And the idea, again, that they're fighting back, they're outraged. A lot of these people are genuinely outraged that the people that they had been abusing in this way, the right and the left, are actually putting their foot down and saying, hey, maybe the fuck not, right? So if these people get back into power, you're not going to have a very good time. Because as we've seen, these people will very clearly admit they hate you. They will use tactics to show that they hate you. If they get back into power, they are going to actively punish you, and they're going to use the levers of the government to actively punish you. So,
or some shit. Like that's basically what is happening here. If you are going to streamers for political information, you are cooked. If you are going to Hat0nFoot,
they don't want the political information to come from the streamer. They want the streamer to be a political tool of cultural production. Again, it's Gramscian. They want no escape from politics. That way, again, is a demoralization tactic. They are very well aware that leftists and rightists watched Emiru. The reason that it was so important she say the line is, again, to alienate the people that they believe should suffer alienation. It is a demoralization tactic. The same reason why, again, in the previous video I made, that I talked about, why do these leftists be like, oh, what cartoon character or this comic character or this literature character agrees with me, and since I hate you, therefore they hate you implicitly, right? Well, they do that again because they want to take the things that give you respite away from you, so that you're constantly tired and constantly exhausted and you're constantly on edge. Again, it's demoralization. It is very nefarious what they are doing. And it's also, again, why they took away comics, why they subverted video, why they've been subverting video games, why they've been trying to like apply pressure to get manga and anime censored and changed for a Western audience. All of this is by design. So it is entirely to immiserate you. This is being done out of spite.
For political information. You are deep fried. So that was that little video. If you liked my yapping, please subscribe. And if you can, donate to my Patreon down below. It really helps the channel out and I appreciate it so much. And I will see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye!
Oh shit, funny enough, Mama Oko is actually streaming the same thing that I am. Sorry, I'm looking for someone to stream right now, to raid right now.
Say it!
Say the line, Bart, or we'll destroy you. So, yeah, I think her analysis on this is fairly solid. That will be it for today.